Welcome to the Right Brain Loves Left podcast, where we dive deep into the dynamic world of small business success. I'm your host, Regina Garay, and I'm thrilled to have you join us today. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Right Brain Loves Left podcast. I am super excited about my guest today. Her name is Becca Weinstein. She is an energy mentor and an artist. The name of her business is Inner Fire Visioning. You can find that at innerfirevisioning.com. But Becca, I have watched you during our chapters with the virtual networkers, and I am so intrigued by what you do that I wanted you to come on the podcast and chat with me about it. So thank you for coming on by as a guest. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the invitation. It's so wonderful to be here with you in this space.
Same here. And I have to tell you, every time, because you and I met through Virtual Networkers, that's an online networking for women, business owners, female business owners. And we are in the same chapter. And whenever you come on by, you're so calm and so zen and you speak so well. And I know that you have different collaborations for different women, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But I really just enjoy the calmness and the serenity and the goodness that you bring to each meeting. I just wanted to tell you that off the top. So,
Well, thank you.
so all right. So let's get into a little bit about your journey, because I know, well, the name of my business is Right Brain Loves Left. And I know that, you come from a left brain kind of situation. You have a very interesting journey and going into now the energy mentoring and what you do with Inner Fire Visioning. Can you give us a little bit about your journey?
Yes, definitely. So I have always been drawn to art and music, but it was very peripheral. It was the extracurriculars on my journey as a child, those things that make you well-rounded on your journey to success.
Right. Your hobbies, the things that bring you joy, and
Yeah,
your passions on the side.
and that enhance your applications. Honestly, I mean, who can relate to that? Where it's like, oh, I want to be successful in the world. I want to make an impact in the world. How do I do that? Through studying, through high achieving, through being the best that I can. And what does that mean? What does that look like? Well, in the school system, it looks a particular way, and then getting into the next level of the best education. And then the best, for me, it's always been in service to how can I show up in the world, and having access to certain opportunities, but also being in a family that was very much about academic success and showing up in that way. So that was the influence and the encouragement.
Okay. Did you tell me about, because you were in ethics, and you did, I remember you and I had a chat a while ago, and you did so many great things. And you've also moved to different states, I believe, coming through. Can you tell me a little bit about how you segued from one, one path to another?
Yeah, so in unexpected ways.
Isn't it always unexpectedly? It's just, I'm going to put my glasses up if that's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. Um, so again, like since childhood, 5 years old, I was convinced it was medicine. I was fascinated with the functioning of the human body and our ability to heal and rehabilitate, and just see that's an easy way to see people suffering in the world.
Yeah.
And so it's like, how can I do that? And so everything was geared towards that.
Mhm.
Even, until I got to college. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, there's other possibilities. And I've always felt connected to other cultures, wanting to explore more of the world, the lives that other people and experiences they were having.
Mhm.
And I knew I wanted to study abroad. And that experience, coupled with some other ones, again, unexpectedly, just diverted my path. I call them left turns. Because right, it's like there's a flow, it saves gas, it's wonderful, it's easier, you're
That's
going with
true.
traffic. And the left turn and makes it a little
More
difficult.
difficult. You have to do it sometimes. Yeah.
And yet, so like from full commitment to all of a sudden, like a series of events that presented this huge left turn, and I found myself drawn into international conflict awareness, looking at how, the ethics of intervention, justice issues on all the levels, and conflict in general. That ended up being a big part of my area of study, interpersonal, and then international, like all the levels. And so yeah, I went into that world and fully committed to that, graduate school and everything. And and then, got to Washington, D.C., was there during September 11th.
Oh,
And that whole year, again, presented a very much a left turn, being in an office, disconnected from direct contact with people. It didn't feel right. So I left.
sometimes we have to make those decisions, where certainly it could be a loss of passion. It could be a loss of, the identity with it, the that you feel it's no longer serving you and you're no longer serving it, and it would be a disservice to stay. So
Well, some of it was realizing, like sometimes your awareness grows and you see things in a different way, like your perspective has widened and you
yeah.
have a whole different experiential relationship to something. And I realized what it felt like at the time, and just for me personally, it felt like I would have had to shove myself back into a box
Mm-hmm.
to succeed on a path in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I can't do that.
Right.
So we're going over here.
Yeah. Spreading
And
my wings. I'm feeling it out, Yep.
exactly. And so I went into direct service work, and then got completely burnt out on that because again, at that time as well, there wasn't as much awareness or bringing in to look at the self-care
Mm-hmm.
of the person who is showing up in these different ways in these environments, the energetic impacts, the emotional impact of being there. I worked with undocumented immigrants in the Houston area,
Mm-hmm.
and also women and children getting out of violent situations.
Mm-hmm.
And so I heard all their stories. I received all I sat with them, and not having the awareness that I have now, I got burnt out. I started having physical symptoms,
Mm-hmm.
and I realized I can't continue here. Next left turn. What am I doing? Found myself
But
in
you take it
Tucson.
in. I know, are an empathetic person. So we take those stories within us. Yeah, I can see.
Yeah, and that's, it's like when we don't realize. So that's a big part of it. That brings me to the work that I'm doing, because I've been on this journey for the last 20 years. And in hindsight, literally 20 years since I landed in Tucson in 2004. Um, Seeing my life experience and some of the challenges I experienced in family dynamics, in emotionally, energetically, even health wise,
Mhm.
I became aware of, oh, that was a result of being empathic,
Mhm.
of being so, I say, permeable
Mhm.
to the
Yeah.
energies
Yeah.
of those around me.
Yeah.
Exactly. And we're not taught. It's starting now, to realize, oh, no, I need to strengthen my energy so I can show up and I don't get swamped, inundated, kind of dragged down.
Mhm.
And then I'm not able to be effective in my own life or in the lives of others and in the world in the way that I want to show up. So that all kind of led me to where I am now. And in Tucson, I knew I needed to heal. So I, again, intuition, we talk about that. So it was a process of that as well, of listening and then trusting, even if and these things had never occurred to me before.
Right.
Um, and I found myself in massage school. And that began the journey of really connecting into my own experience and into my body.
Mhm.
And then showing up for others. It's another level of conflict. In what ways may we be in conflict within ourselves? And how is that showing up in our lives or in our physical bodies, in our emotional bodies, and our energy? And then in the dynamics in our relationships, because how we're feeling impacts those
Every,
relationships.
yeah, yeah. Even our businesses, it affects, I remember just talking a little bit about the massages. I remember when I was a decorative painter working, I was go, 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 go. And I had a massage and they massaged my hand and I started crying. It hurt so bad. And I
Mhm.
realized, oh my gosh, I'm not taking care of the tools,
Mhm.
that I need. Not never mind the body and everything, but sometimes we have tools like our hands, we don't take care of those. And it speaks to a bigger issue, I think, in self-care and in the energy that we give ourselves. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes I think we give it out too much and we don't bring it back. Coming back to energy, the way that you work with energy now.
Yes, very much so. We've been living in a particular kind of paradigm that's been very much externally focused, looking for validation. What's the definition of success and what does that look like all out there? And we've been transitioning to no, but what is my experience in here? Can I cultivate that inner validation, that inner knowing and trust as I move through the world? And I feel like we're moving further into this new paradigm where it's not one or the other. Like I'm not being selfish if I'm taking care of myself. Because if I hold both in my awareness, there's no conflict. Because what's highest for me is highest for those around me and in my life, and the same vice versa. It's like, oh, it can be both. What
Mhm.
does that experience look like? What does that world look like? What does my life look like when I'm navigating in that way?
Got it. Got it. I love it. I love it. Okay, so this is the type of work that you do with inner fire visioning, where you work with people, small business owners, and others,
Mhm.
to work on their energy and what is happening within that's blocking them from going to where they need to be. Um, how does someone know I need Becca Weinstein to help me?
So it can look all kinds of ways. And that's been interesting because that's been a challenge in terms of sharing about it. It's like typically we're told, who's your person?
Right. Your
Identify
target
this.
audience.
And I'm kind of like, who's the person in front of me? That's who I work with. So it's
I
what is it?
imagine it's almost a block that you would feel, um, if you're not seeing. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Becca.
No, no, you didn't. No. Yeah.
I know we were talking about a client of yours, where she had a block financially.
Right.
And is that one of the ways you can tell?
Very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That is one of the blocks. It can show up in different ways. Are there any circumstances in your life that feel particularly stressful? Health, emotions, finances, business. Overwhelm is
Mhm.
a good one, and overwhelm can look different ways. Um, Lack of clarity, or just feeling disconnected, like feeling like, wait a minute, there must be something more. I've done what I thought I was supposed to do, but something's missing or something feels off,
Mhm.
or I can't seem to move this thing forward,
Right.
whatever it is. Or there's this experience I'd love to have, maybe it's in relationship. It's like there's this really challenging relationship, work or personal life, that just keeps interfering and sapping all my energy, or causing almost chaos or angst or reactivity. So it's like, okay, let's work with that, because there's an energetic dynamic. We don't necessarily need to get into all the story. We can work with the energy. Um,
It's almost like you're clogged and you just need to release that in order to let the flow in a way.
yeah, that often can be the case, and I talk about that in terms of like, sometimes for whatever reason,
Mhm.
we've come into this life, or we've had experiences, early childhood experiences, where we became really permeable, like almost porous, because we needed to be vigilant. We needed to, is different coping mechanisms, different ways of like surviving in the world, but then end up, mm, it's like allows too much in that then accumulates and blocks. And so it can be, people talk a lot about conditioning these days. How are we conditioned? Or what ancestral energies might be, or wounds might be impacting me now? It's like all these lenses and filters that have layered on,
Mhm.
that are blocking the true expression of you, like who you truly are. It's like it's even our perceptions can get caught in that, or our emotions can get weighed down. And so a lot of what we do is learn the practices to strengthen our own energy, clear our field. And so it's an empowerment thing as well. It's like, yes, when we work together, hold the space for that and kind of guide the process, but also teach tools. For me, it's all about empowerment. It's so that you can then go and know how to navigate your life on a daily basis as things come up, because things are going to continuously, you
Happen.
know,
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But you become stronger and then know what to do. And your relationship to your experience begins to shift.
So and I'm loving all of this because it really is true. What we have, we don't realize what our experiences, create in the person that we are today and our energy. Um, what are some challenges that you've experienced that you've seen entrepreneurs among them, what when it comes to aligning their energy, what challenges do they go through when they start the work?
Yeah. And, in what I'm sharing, I will say I'm on this journey myself. So I've been living it as well. And then it shows up in the people that I'm working with. Um, there's so much information out there about what you quote unquote should do or need to do, how your business needs to present itself, how you need to structure your offers, your services, and then put it out into the world. Um, and it's not the same for everybody. Like it's learning to go within. Like rather than take all this in that maybe worked for that person and works for 10 other people,
Mhm.
but it might not be what's aligned for you. And so it can be challenging to navigate, because then we turn it back on ourselves and that criticism and judgment and feeling like, what's wrong with me that I can't just move this forward? And it's like, oh, because I'm not allowing for what needs to come through me to come through and kind of pick and choose and then create what truly is in alignment. And of course, there's good practices and basic, some things, but then allowing yourself the freedom to be yourself in your business.
It's true. It's true in many, many facets of a small business. Because I was hearing you saying, we need to kind of walk our own path and see what works for us. And even, for instance, in something like what I do, like marketing management,
Mm.
um, sometimes people are like, okay, so I was told that I need to do reels, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to put it out, I need to be on YouTube, I need to be on this. And I'm like, okay, yes, like just like you said, yes, there are best practices. There are guidelines. What are you able to do? How is this sustainable? What's going to be sustainable? So it's kind of, that you have to almost just see what's around you and what you're going to be able to absorb and how it works with you and the way that you are, and then go forward that way. So I fully feel that, because it could work for 10 people, like you said, it just won't work for you. And we always, at least, for me, I can always say, I'm always like, what am I doing wrong? When it could be just that that's not the way for me. For me, it's another way. And that, and for, whoever is my audience, so because we attract who, likes the way that we teach and all that. So I can imagine that it's the people that you attract are very, very much in line with hearing what you are saying and it's a very relief to be in your presence, because you're not saying this is what you need to do and this is the path. You know, there's many different paths.
Yeah, and that's where I shifted from, identifying myself as, as an intuitive coach, because it's like, no, that doesn't feel quite right. But I sat with it for a while. And then more recently, it was like, oh no, energy mentor, because it's like learning, what does alignment feel like? How can I strengthen myself? And then listen within to build that trust in your own knowing
Mhm.
as you make decisions on your path. Um, and some of the other things, and that's part of it, like what I've seen with entrepreneurs and business owners is needing to cultivate that trust. So really laying the groundwork to like, oh, okay, I feel like I'm anchored in my own
Yeah.
experience and I can trust this. And then working with the voice, a lot comes up around the throat chakra and the voice being visible. That's a journey coming, to be, we need to let people know we're here.
Yeah.
And then be willing to share the work that we're doing. And especially when it might be a little bit not quite the norm,
Yes.
speaking from
Or
experience.
uncomfortable. Oh, yeah.
Because I'm as surprised as, I sometimes I'm like, oh, this is what I'm doing. And it's like, but this is what I need to do.
Mhm.
And to work through my own whatever perceptions, misperceptions, clear that out that might be influencing or causing fear around speaking, sharing, expressing, and showing up.
Yeah, I think that I've felt that too. I had a fear of photography, the photographs, meaning, and being on video. And sometimes you just have to, as you said, sit with it and work on it to break those barriers through. And I know that you have a personal alignment process that you go, because you mentioned the chakras and you mentioned even just sitting with it. So I know that you walk each one of your clients through a personal process, correct?
Yes, yes, yes. So mm, basically, it's an opportunity, like a session is an opportunity to connect in with somebody and get a sense of who they really are. And then get a sense of what might be interfering
Mhm.
with that expression, or what might be creating the blocks. And then the sessions are customized to their needs. I have a lot of different tools, different energy tools from, working with the chakras, working with other energy systems, guided visualizations, working in quantum energy shifts, clearing, just a lot. And so we go in and I share what feels like it would be most supportive, the tools for somebody to potentially use on their journey, that works with what they have going on. And then one of the things as well is personal alignment painting. That is part of that process. So from there, I basically found I started painting just for myself. I had wanted to do it and I just started doing it. And I had some behind me and a number of different intuitives and energy healers who I've been working with or in contact with over Zoom were so drawn to the paintings and the energy. And I was like, oh, like to me, it was just normal. It's like when something is just natural for you, that's the other thing for folks.
It's an outlet, right?
It's just when something is so your norm, it's just your way of being, you don't realize the gift that it is.
Mm.
So that was part of what that was for me. And so people acknowledging it and bringing it, it's like, oh no, there's so much energy here. And I've worked with energy for years and years. And I realized that these particular abstract paintings that I was just doing carried a lot of energy. And I started sitting with them and meditating and realizing that the painting process was a meditative process connecting into these energies. And so I have some themed paintings that are a particular process, but then that can support someone. And then I have the custom alignment paintings. And that's when I connect with somebody, connect into their energy, and then what comes through, like color is frequency, light,
Certainly is.
color, all of that. So it's connecting into the person, the colors come through. And it's actually an extended process of numerous hours of painting sessions, or of just being connected to them and then going and bringing in the color, and it becomes a layered painting that ends up with with called them energy vortexes. They're kind of like sphere-like, but particular colors, but they hold the energy of that person, like in their highest expression for where they are and everything they're seeking to create and be. And it becomes another energy tool or an empowerment tool because beyond the words. So there's that left, right brain, like our left brain. And I know for myself, it can get in the way,
Yeah.
especially when it's not working in service, but it's trying to control.
Balance. Yeah. It's the balance of it.
Exactly, the integration.
Mhm.
And so these paintings then become, one client described it as feng shui for the soul. Like just
Ah,
having the painting in their space, because having something in your space, it impacts you. Just like our color choice for the walls, or having that particular flower arrangement or a particular vase or something
mhm.
in our space, it impacts us. Or
Absolutely.
removing something. So it becomes something that can be kind of more passive, where it's just there. Because I've worked with them also when I work in person, or also on Zoom, I'll choose particular paintings to have in our space that we're connected to. But then also in-person clients, I'll bring in a particular painting and it shifts the energy and the experience in the session and for the client experience. So it's been fascinating to explore that. But going back to the personal alignment painting, it can also be an active tool where you just place your attention and your focus, you connect into it. A lot of business owners who I've worked with, they have it on their wall by where they do their work, whether it's with their clients or when they're working in their business, developing new services or writing their marketing materials, needing to make decisions. And it's a way to just connect in. Just place your attention there, or whatever energy exercises have come through that will support you to like reestablish your energy between clients or going in. It's a way to clear out all those things that aren't you.
It's almost like having, if you hang it, it's like almost hanging a personal vision board in a way that's about energy and just having that reminder there of
Yeah.
what's possible and for inspiration.
And it's beyond the story. It's beyond the words. It's like you can go beyond that, just connect into that and then go into whatever you're doing. Um, and
Okay.
even, I have clients whose children have them in their bedroom by their desk and they find it easier to focus on their schoolwork or get through things or, with their own, just regulating their energy as they're moving through their experience. So,
Ah, love that. Very cool. So if you had, and where are you located? Just for those, because are you still in Tucson or
no, I'm actually in Maine. I'm currently
Maine?
in Portland, Maine. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, a lovely area. Lovely area. Okay. I'm gonna bring it all together and we're gonna talk about it. If you can just give me some tips for entrepreneurs on how they can put together a mindset of growth and good energy as they go about during the day. Do you have anything to share with us on that?
Yes. A couple of things.
Okay.
First, creating space for you. And what does that mean? It can look a number of different ways, like taking a walk in nature or doing something that is just for you to enjoy. Out of enjoyment, it's not about productivity. Creating just even if it's just a few minutes. Another really simple one that's like, oh, is to take an intentional breath. So to really anchor into the body, because we can get so in our mental space when we're thinking of all the things we need to do. We have our checklists. We want to show up. We want to make sure we get it all done, or we're juggling all the aspects of our life. And we're on the computer. It's really easy to get disconnected from our body. And our body is what helps us process all the emotion, the energy, and be able to stay more present. And allows things to just flow through us. So, simple one, just to bring our attention to where our feet meet the earth, meet the ground, attention to the base of our spine, our sacrum, and take a breath, an intentional breath, inhaling through the nose, and then exhaling slowly through the mouth. And feel that shift just with that one breath. And then go into the next activity, go into the next interaction, or take that space before making a decision.
That's incredible. I felt it right there, like the calmness go over.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Becca. Thank you. So for those who are wondering, how do they get a hold of you? The listeners and the watchers, tell us about your website, socials.
Yes. So my website, innerfirevisioning.com. You can find out more about what I have going on, that personal alignment process, and and then I am on Instagram, and I'm actually been shifting a bit. So that's going to continue, but it's not my focus at the moment. I'm actually interested in more direct connection right now. So there is a link on the website somewhere. Like if you're interested or want to learn more, schedule a connection call and let's chat. Let's see what's going on for you and how may I be able to support you on your journey.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you, Becca. I truly appreciate you coming by the podcast and sharing what you do, sharing all the goodness that you bring, and explaining how our energies can so affect every aspect of our life, not just our personal, but our business too. So, all right, everyone. Again, thank you, Becca, and we'll see you on the next episode. Bye, everyone.